You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
Hi, I'm Maria Varmazes, and I'm the host of T-Minus, the only daily podcast for the space industry. Every weekday, I'll be covering the latest news in space technology, business, and governance by talking with the people who are forging the path in this new space era. If you're a space professional looking to separate the signal from the noise and stay current on what's happening, this show is for you. Join me every day for T-Minus, the daily space industry podcast. Listen on all major podcast platforms or visit space.n2k.com. That's space.n2k.com.
And now, a word from our sponsor, Halcyon. Ransomware is still one of the largest threats facing businesses in 2023. The Halcyon platform was built to stop it through a multi-layered protection approach featuring full encryption key capture, automated decryption, and the ability to prevent other security tools on the endpoint from being unhooked. Learn more about how they're leveraging capsule network-based machine learning to reduce ransomware recovery times down to minutes by visiting halcyon.ai.
Hi, my name is Perry Carpenter, and I am the Chief Evangelist and Strategy Officer for a security training company called KnowBe4. I had no idea what I wanted to be when I was growing up. I started out really focused on music. I was a guy that played multiple instruments. I played keyboard, guitar, and bass, a little bit of drums, and some experimental instruments. All throughout that, though, there was this component where I was also very interested in technology. And so I would convince my parents to buy me the newest computer gadgets that I could get at the time. And this was back in the 80s. And in all of that, I focused a lot on one of my hobbies being computers. But it was only later on, after I kind of tried a few other things in college, that I realized that computing, and then specifically security, was where I wanted to spend my time and effort. I think for me, when it was the kind of the connection between music and computing, is that whenever you're kind of joining things together in a musical scale to make chords, or whenever you're adding different instruments and octaves together or timbres together to get some kind of bigger result, it is very similar to what you can do in computing environments when you're putting code together. And you're adding new, other libraries to that, or you're enabling other things that become more than the simple components that you've started with. And I think you do see a little bit of a symphony in the way that computing environments work together. So I started my college years as a music major, specifically in composition. I loved writing songs, and being a composition major and being a music major in general requires way more discipline than I was capable of, and was probably tapping me out creatively and talent-wise as well. I think I kind of was hitting some of my limits. And as I was exploring languages and thinking about what I wanted to do there, I had a really interesting discussion with a professor, because I was thinking, hey, after college, if I want to explore language, maybe I could go be a linguist. And I had a professor that said, that's a great idea, other than the fact that you're going to have to wait for somebody to die to get a job, because it's just not a populated field. So I then looked at my happy liberal arts degrees that I had and said, what do I do now? Ultimately decided to go to law school and realized that, similar to music, my first choice and what I wanted to do for a master's program was way off, and ended up taking an internship in computer programming at a company called J.B. Hunt, simultaneously starting to work on a master's degree in computer science. So ultimately, that internship paid off really well. I was there doing research and development, and that was like really interesting work back then. And then ultimately, J.B. Hunt decided to hire me without me needing to complete my master's degree and just kind of pay me what they would give me if I'd completed that. And then I got hired out of J.B. Hunt by Walmart in order to create an email system that they plan to use in their stores and clubs. And got hired day one in Walmart, got pulled out of the line essentially and assigned to a very large project team creating samsclub.com, because that was the very beginning of the .com boom, and Amazon was a really big up-and-comer back then, and Walmart wanted an answer to that. We finally launched samsclub.com and then got brought back over to the project that I was originally hired for, which was to write email systems for the stores and clubs. Spent a while doing that, as you can imagine. So that working on email was my introduction into security by way of identity management. And so when I was doing that, it quickly grew from security to identity and access management, and from identity and access management to cybersecurity proper. After Walmart, I ended up going to a company called Alltel and doing more security work and getting a real love for the human side of cybersecurity that typically gets neglected. And so from Alltel, I went to Gartner research and focused on security awareness and training research and CISO mentorship, and then ultimately ended up where I work for KnowBe4 now, which is a security awareness vendor that I had tracked and advised back when I was at Gartner. Adversity comes in a lot of different forms. Sometimes adversity is just disappointment that I've not been able to do the thing that I hoped that I could do, whether that's a limiting factor with my personal capabilities, or whether that is a thing that for some reason doesn't align with whatever organization I'm working for is hoping to accomplish, or whether there's some form of thing that's totally outside anybody's control. I think adversity comes at us all, and the way that we can get out of the potential emotional spiral that comes with that, the way that I get out of that is I start to look at the bigger picture. And luckily for those of us in security, there is a cause that we're working towards. There's a purpose that we've given our lives to, which is helping to create a more secure world through reducing risk. So it is kind of zooming out and then saying, all right, maybe this one thing didn't work out, but how can I now move forward in a way that will help accomplish that cause? And who can I bring alongside that can help us accomplish that? One of my major goals here is to release a body of work and help other people, so that ultimately, when you start to think about the human side of security, there is a set of learnings, a set of processes, a support system that will ultimately raise all boats, regardless of the vendor or the tool set that people are using. I want to be somebody who is advocating for ways that we can accomplish this that don't necessarily tie to a vendor. And yeah, the things that I do, the processes that I help build or the learnings that I help uncover might be applied in a product in some way through the vendor that I'm working for. But in general, you can extract those learnings and apply those in several different ways throughout the industry or regardless of the vendor that's there. And I think that that's a value that many people in my role like to bring. When you're kind of in this evangelist role or this strategy role, you are really serving something greater than the organization that you're working for.
And now, a word from our sponsor, Halcyon. Ransomware is still one of the largest threats facing businesses in 2023. The Halcyon platform was built to stop it through a multi-layered protection approach featuring full encryption key capture, automated decryption, and the ability to prevent other security tools on the endpoint from being unhooked. Learn more about how they're leveraging capsule network-based machine learning to reduce ransomware recovery times down to minutes by visiting halcyon.ai. Hi, everybody. Dave Bittner here. Our friends at N2K just launched T-, the only daily space podcast. Here's what you can expect from that show. Stay tuned for T-, ready to launch.
We are in a new space era.
T-minus 20 seconds.
Advances in engineering and manufacturing have given us access to the heavens in ways that seemed almost unthinkable not that long ago. Private and public sector cooperation in the space industry is leading to innovation that sometimes feels like it's right out of a page of science fiction. But these achievements in space are real, and they're bringing incredible advances in defense, communications, infrastructure, engineering, and science to all of us right here on Earth. And they're happening fast. Join me. I'm Maria Varmazes, and I'm the host of T-, the daily space podcast for the space industry. Every day, you'll get the news and analysis you need to stay current on what's happening in space technology, business, and governance. To do that, I'll be talking with the people who are forging the path in this new space era, from industry leaders, technology experts, and pioneers, to educators, policymakers, research organizations, and more. If you're a space professional looking to separate the signal from the noise and stay current on what's happening, this show is for you. Join me every day for T-, the daily space industry podcast.
T-minus.
Available on all major podcast platforms.